Jerry Mallory here for SB Nation and PrivateTrade.com. The NFL season is here. We've waited long enough. It has arrived. Denver Broncos going up against the Super Bowl champion, Baltimore Ravens, this Thursday night. Before we get into that, before we enjoy the season, let's get the predictions out of the way. Many of you already submitted on PrivateTrade.com your MVPs, your Rookies of the Year, etc., etc. Now it's my turn. We'll rewind the clock back. This time last year, I had some predictions. Some I was proud of, some not so proud of. A little bit embarrassed. I said the Green Bay Packers would not make the playoffs. Well, they won the division. I said the Dallas Cowboys would be the NFC champions, making it to the Super Bowl. Not too proud about that. However, there were some things that I can say I predicted and I'm proud of. For example, I said the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Giants would not make the playoffs, although they made it last year before that, in 2011. Many people thought I was crazy. They did not make the playoffs. I said Calvin Johnson would come close to, if not surpass, Jerry Rice's all-time receiving yards record. That did happen. Congratulations, Megatron. And the granddaddy of them all I got right, picking the Baltimore Ravens to win the Super Bowl. They were a good team, but they weren't one of the sexy picks. They weren't one of the picks that many people said would be the Super Bowl champions, and I nailed that one. We'll find out how I did this year. This time next year, let's look at the predictions. Hand out some hardware. We'll start off with the young pups. Defensive Player of the Year for the rookies goes to Ezekiel Ansah, Detroit Lions defensive end. There were some questions about him being picked at the number 5 spot. Well, he's quieted some of the naysayers with a strong preseason performance, and playing next to Nick Fairley and Ndamukong Suh, he's going to see very few double-team looks. He'll walk away with 10-plus sacks and the award. 4. Offensive Player of the Year for rookies. It's going to go to not a quarterback as it usually does, but instead, Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2013 goes to running back, Cincinnati Bengals, Giovanni Bernard. He's a return guy. He's someone that has the it factor. Although BenJarvus Green-Ellis is the starter for now, he is solid, albeit lacking of that playmaking, groundbreaking ability that Bernard has. He'll find his way in the starting lineup. Plenty of looks in terms of not getting 8 in the box because you got A.J. Green. So he's going to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year. This man was Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. He's taking home the big one. It's Luke Kuechly, linebacker, Carolina Panthers. Now, we know he's a tackling machine. If he's in the area, he's going to find you. But not only is he able to bring down running backs and receivers, he can get after that ball. He's going to show that this year with some forced fumbles, with some interceptions, and yes, a sack or two, and he'll walk away as your Defensive Player of the Year. Offensive Player of the Year usually goes to a quarterback. Not going to a quarterback this year. Sometimes it goes to a running back, like when Adrian Peterson went crazy. Not going to a running back this year. A wide receiver, you say? Clearly it's going to be Calvin Johnson, right? No. A.J. Green, wide receiver, Cincinnati Bengals, Offensive Player of the Year. Now, in Calvin's defense, Calvin's going to have, in my opinion, lower numbers stat-wise, but he'll be more efficient. There's more balls to go around. Reggie Bush, Ryan Broyles, hopefully staying healthy. So he's going to potentially have a better year, but have, we'll say, not as good stats as he did in 2012. Whereas A.J. Green is going to be the stat monster. 1,700 plus yards, 16 plus touchdowns. I'm sensing a theme with the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, for your Coach of the Year, it's going to go to Jim Harbaugh. I don't see the San Francisco 49ers losing a ton of games. They could go 13-3, they can go 14-2, and he definitely plays a part in this. Their lineup is stacked, but Jim Harbaugh is a good coach. He'll walk away with the award. Let's go now to your MVP. It's Peyton Manning, another team I don't see losing a ton in the regular season at least. They might win 12 games. They might win 13 games. Defensively, they're going to struggle a little bit early on. No Von Miller for a few games. No Elvis Dumervil. He's now a Baltimore Raven. They're going to have to score a little bit more. Well, that favors Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, a year removed from neck injury. That favors who? Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning with one of the most consistent route running, wide receiving, catching threats in Wes Welker. That favors who? Peyton Manning. He's going to be your MVP in the NFL for this year. Now, for your teams, most disappointing team this year will be the Washington Redskins. Not saying they're going to, win 4 or 5 games, But whereas they were your NFC East champions last year, don't think they'll walk away with that. I think they will miss the playoffs. It's going to be a tough race this year, but I see them winning 8 or 9 games. And one Robert Griffin III, if he can stay healthy, yeah, it helps their chances. But I'm a little leery as to how either one of his knees will hold up for a 16-game slate. Now, for your most surprising team, it's going to be the Carolina Panthers. Remember, they ended last year very strong. That's going to carry over. I really like their draft. They addressed their interior defensive line, which was their biggest weakness. Cam Newton continues to progress. This is a team with all that talent in the NFC that's actually going to sneak and take one of the wild card spots. Whereas no one's picking them and thinking they're going to be even close to the playoffs, they'll make it and be the most surprising team in the NFL this year. Now, for the big one, we're going to pass all the playoff games, the wild card round, the AFC and NFC championships. We're going straight to the Super Bowl. Last year, I nailed the winner being the Baltimore Ravens. This year, we'll have to see. But to go to this one, to go forward, we're going to have to go back. Yes, it's a couple of decades ago. It was actually in the 80s. How many of you were even born in the 80s? There was color back in the 80s, but I thought this black and white picture kind of sets the mood. It was Super Bowl 23, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the San Francisco 49ers. There was no Colin Kaepernick. There was no Andy Dalton. No, there were a few other Hall of Famers, your Jerry Rices, etc., etc. Well, just like the San Francisco 49ers who were victorious many moons ago, they'll do it once again. It was a low-scoring affair at that one. It's going to be in New York. It might be snowing. It might be raining. It's going to be cold. Another low-scoring affair. But as we mentioned, your winner, our predicted Super Bowl champion, will be the San Francisco 49ers. And Jim Harbaugh will cry and do backflips and act crazy. If this time for an actual championship and not for one of his regular season wins. Agree, disagree, there you have it. San Francisco 49ers, that's not a brave pick, but I don't have to go for the shocker. I'm just telling you who I think will be the champions, and it will be this team, in my opinion. They're just too dominant. I'm sure many of you, though, are not thinking about the Cincinnati Bengals. Look out for them. I think they'll be representing the AFC. Last year, I told you about some teams that made the playoffs the year before, and they didn't do it. I had a lot of detail. I gave you the meat and potatoes this year. I will say this, though. We already talked about Washington missing the playoffs. In the NFC, in terms of the AFC, well, once again, second-year quarterback, all the promise in the world. It's the Indianapolis Colts. They're on the outside looking in this year. It's going to be a tough race in the NFC for the last wild card spot. I think Seattle will get the first one comfortably, and it's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight. You're going to have the Redskins. You're going to have the Vikings. You're going to have the Saints, the Lions. But like I said, Carolina Panthers, look out for them. They are my surprise team. Agree, disagree, leave your comments, subscribe below. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. We'll be back later on this week when we will give you the predictions and the statistical analysis and all that other good stuff in big words about your beloved Detroit Lions. So stay tuned for that. I want to thank you for watching. As always, stay tuned. We got a nice little surprise to go with that Lions preview too in just a couple of days. See you guys then.